two gods. One is the law and one is love. No. Those are, if we're looking at the aspects, characteristics, whatever you want to say as to God, it's all just one. When we think of spirit as a spontaneous love, first cause, we think of that God word as that is all it is, created everything from it, all things were created. And then we get into this other part that's called the law. And that's the action of what the divine presence has set into motion. So we go back to the very beginning and identifying we are talking about creation. God thought the thought, impressed the thought on that creative part of our being, which we call the law or the soul. And that thought was made manifest. It was demonstrated. Whatever that thought of God was. If we're talking about, I'll make me a world, James Weldon Johnson. Thought a thought. Thought the world would be a great place. Impress that thought upon that creative subjective, upon that law. And the world came into form. So you have mind, spirit, form. You have the three aspects of God. So we're going up here talking about that one other aspect called the law. That which is the action of that which was thought. Now there's no superstition about this, and there's no mystery about this. It's just that we are left with a lot of questions of, well, how does it work? Well, we might not know how it works. We just have to see the demonstration that it does. What we do know is that surrounding us is this substance, undefined. It is the potential of everything. And when the thought is impressed upon this unidentifiable substance, that's what comes into form. Now there's something else that has to go in here, because we know we have a lot of thoughts, and sometimes nothing happens. It doesn't seem. Or sometimes it just seems like it's all over the place. So there's got to be something for this invisible substance to come into. Now that's where we come into play. Because we then prepare a mold of that which we desire. An invisible mold. In that we have a desire. We say, this is what I require for me to be able to traverse this earthly plane. And so that's a thought that I have. It's a belief also that I have. And so I can identify more clearly of what it is I'm speaking of. Now, it doesn't mean you have to hold the thought in your mind or the vision in your mind. It's just that you've got to be clear about what you're talking about. And in that clarity, you are designing a mold. Ernest speaks of it in this way. Let's say that we were in an iron factory where iron is made into other things. And in this foundry or factory, all of this, what they call pig iron or beginning iron, all of it is melted down into nothing but liquid. And then it is poured into that which you want to make from the iron. It's poured into the mold that makes needles. It's poured into the mold that makes rafters for construction. It's poured into whatever you want that iron to be. And that iron then hardens in whatever mold it was poured into. And it becomes the thing that you thought into. It becomes that which you said you wanted the iron to be. Well, that's what this invisible, unformed substance is like. It is just there waiting for you to prepare the mold. Well, what is it that you want? Well, if you don't have a mold, you just get it all over the place. It is nothing defined. It just remains that running, undefinable substance. And where we come in is that we become co-creators. The invisible substance is there. We get to name what we desire, and we then, because of the law acting upon that mold, brings it into form. But we have to be clear. We have to be clear. And so what does show up many times of that which we're not molding are all of these other things that are hybrids that you say, well, what? I didn't put that in a mold. And that's right. Not the mold you want. So that's our role in this, of what it does. It responds to us. The law itself, that creative subjective, that soul of ours, that part of us that is the memory of all times, it comes from that level. That's why the creativity is there. It can be creative because it knows all things, has been there, done that, knows it, but it cannot decide for you because it doesn't have volition. It has no choice. It cannot make a choice for you. It waits upon you. And throughout your life history, it just gathers information. This is the way they make their decisions, all right. So that's what we said before. When you don't make a decision, you've even made a decision. Because this creative subjective takes the average of all the decisions you've ever made. And here's the demonstration. So it's wise to be conscious and make decisions. Make the decisions that you would have them to do. We so get into the pattern of, oh, God will take care of it. And God will say, no, I'm waiting on you. I'm waiting on you. Because you play a role in this. It cannot intrude on you. It says, I don't want robots. I want consciousness. I want those who say yes because they know. Those say yes because they believe. Not what somebody else has said, but what they believe, what they know. And it's that knowingness that we talk about, the feeling. Because that's part of the demonstration. There's got to be feeling in it. And as I tell my students, it's not, and so, that kind of feeling. It's not it. It's the feeling of knowing that you already have it. Because if you go through it all and see all that came into this creation, you've got to know that God didn't leave us without. God said, all of this unformed substance is yours. Whatever it is, you decide. So it's waiting on your decision. It is always there. Even in present, in sadness, in times when it's difficult to understand how things show up. Each of us have signed a divine contract. And that contract says